there are 2 or 3 things that will affect the political calculations that the candidates make. Both candidates, whoever comes out of the Democratic primary process, and Senator McCain are going to be on the record in favoring action on climate change. And so the debate is largely going to frame over a couple different things, I think. One, India and China. Is there a competitiveness hit? Voters are going to have real legitimate questions. If we're paying for this stuff now, and we're paying for climate action, and we're already in a trade deficit towards China and increasingly towards other countries in the developing world, how can we justify that? And both candidates are likely, in broad terms, to be in favor of climate change. The Democrats have been a little bit softer and slower on trade these days than Republicans have. Are you willing to do a border permit that essentially puts the price on imported goods that come from countries that don't take climate action to try to even the playing field on competitiveness? That could go against your commitment to the WTO if you're John McCain. How do you feel about that? So you'll see a debate about that, I think, in the run-up to the fall. You'll also see a debate about whether or not we should spend our way out of the problem by investing in the next set of technologies, or essentially tax our way out of the problem through either a cap and trade or a carbon tax, which essentially is a tax. It's going to be disguised or discussed as not a tax because I think Americans are so tax averse. And so you're going to see a little bit of a tension there between the candidates. I think lastly, the other thing to keep an eye on is not broad policy, but the states where people campaign. The next primary tomorrow is in West Virginia. I noticed in the Washington Post, when they talk about the different states coming up, when it was Pennsylvania, they had the Liberty Bell. When it was Indiana, North Carolina, they had an NCAA basketball. For West Virginia, they have a lump of coal. This is big, high stakes politics in a couple of key states where coal is critical to the state's economy. How will people campaign in those states? What will they say in those states? And it's not just West Virginia. It's also places like Iowa, where corn ethanol, whether or not it's the technology of the future, is the technology of today. Are we going to stick with those subsidies? So I think that's where you'll see the political battleground.